The hum of the engine was the only companion as I navigated the desolate roads of the Midwest, the vast emptiness stretching in every direction like an ocean of shadows. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long, eerie silhouettes that danced across the abandoned fields. My journey through the heart of the Midwest was supposed to be a straightforward drive, a solitary exploration of the vastness that so often goes unnoticed. Somewhere along the way, however, the landscape shifted, the monotonous stretches of road leading me away from familiarity. My GPS blinked erratically, unsure of my location in this sea of emptiness. As night descended, I found myself staring at a weathered sign that read, "Welcome to Hartsville." Hartsville, a name that echoed in the wind, whispered by the rustling leaves of long-forgotten trees. The town seemed to emerge from the shadows, its decaying structures visible in the moonlight. A chill crept down my spine as I realized this was no ordinary detour. I had unwittingly stumbled upon a place that time had forgotten. The main street, flanked by skeletal remnants of once thriving businesses, seemed to stretch endlessly into the night. My headlights illuminated abandoned storefronts with faded signs, their messages now illegible in the dim glow. Shadows clung to the corners of the dilapidated buildings, and a palpable sense of abandonment hung in the air. I cautiously parked my car, the soft crunch of gravel beneath my tires amplifying the silence. The town was devoid of life, and my footsteps echoed through the stillness as I ventured deeper into the heart of Hartsville. Moonlight cast eerie patterns on the cracked sidewalks, and the skeletal branches of leafless trees clawed at the night sky. My curiosity battled with an inexplicable sense of unease as I explored the forsaken streets. It was as if the town itself held its breath, as though the very ground beneath my feet was waiting for me to unlock its secrets. My imagination ran wild with tales of the town's past, stories whispered in hushed tones by those who claimed to have glimpsed its spectral residents. The silence was broken by distant whispers, barely audible but undeniably present. It was as if the echoes of Hartsville's past lingered in the air, carried by the wind like a mournful lament. I strained to catch the words, but they remained elusive, dancing on the periphery of understanding. The shadows, once subtle, now seemed to pulse with a strange vitality. As I approached a crumbling building that might have once been a library, the whispers intensified. It was as though the very walls held memories, and the voices of a bygone era sought to communicate across the chasm of time. My steps quickened, drawn towards the source of the whispers. The abandoned town became a stage, and I, the lone actor in a macabre play that unfolded with each passing moment. The night seemed to respond to my presence, shadows stretching and contracting in rhythmic patterns. An old town square appeared, dominated by a decaying gazebo that stood at its center. The whispers reached a crescendo, the voices overlapping in a dissonant symphony. It was as if the very essence of Hartsville yearned to tell its story, a tale buried in the folds of time, waiting for a willing listener. My breath caught in my throat as the shadows coalesced, forming ethereal figures that moved with an otherworldly grace. These phantoms, painted in the hues of moonlight, were echoes of the town's former inhabitants. Their spectral forms danced in silent lament, the very air heavy with the weight of their unfinished narratives. The whispers, now coherent, narrated tales of a town that succumbed to the passage of time. Hartsville was once a thriving community, a bastion of dreams and aspirations. Its streets echoed with laughter, and the air vibrated with the pulse of life. Yet, beneath the facade of prosperity, a darkness festered. The whispers spoke of a past riddled with secrets, clandestine meetings in dimly lit alleyways, clandestine dealings that stained the very soul of Hartsville. The shadows bore witness to the sins of the living, and now, in their spectral forms, they sought acknowledgement, a release from the shackles of time. As the tales unfolded, I found myself entwined in the spectral dance of Hartsville's past. The figures, once distant echoes, beckoned me to bear witness to their unfinished stories. I listened as the voices narrated the rise and fall of the town, the dreams that turned to dust, and the darkness that clung to the very fabric of its existence. I became a conduit for the voices of Hartsville, a vessel for the forgotten tales that yearned to break free. The spectral figures, once distant, now encircled me, their ghostly presence a testament to the timeless nature of their narratives. The town square transformed into a spectral stage, the gazebo a centerpiece for the ethereal performance. The whispers painted vivid images of a bygone era, clandestine meetings in the flickering lamplight, shadowy figures slipping through the night, and the undercurrent of malevolence that tainted the very air. As the spectral dance continued, I realized that the town sought redemption through the act of storytelling. Hartsville, though abandoned, craved acknowledgement of its past, a recognition of the shadows that clung to its memory. The voices, now more urgent, implored me to carry their stories beyond the confines of the abandoned streets. With each passing moment, I felt the weight of Hartsville's history pressing upon me. The spectral figures, their faces etched with the pain of unfinished tales, sought solace in the act of remembrance. I became a custodian of the town's memories, a witness to the forgotten narratives that lingered in the shadows. As the night wore on, the whispers gradually faded, and the spectral figures dissolved into the night. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a final, mournful glow on the abandoned town. I stood in the quietude of Hartsville, my surroundings now devoid of the ethereal dance that had held me captive. The echoes of the past, however, remained imprinted on my soul. I carried with me the stories of Hartsville, a town that dared to confront its darkest secrets in the embrace of the moonlit night. As I retraced my steps, the shadows receded, and the town gradually disappeared into the rearview mirror. Hartsville, with its abandoned buildings and forgotten streets, became a memory etched in the recesses of my mind. The whispers, now a gentle echo, faded into the expanse of the Midwest, leaving me with an indelible connection to a town that time had forsaken. As I drove away, the vast emptiness of the Midwest stretched before me once again. The moon cast its soft glow on the lonely road, and the echoes of Hartsville lingered in the air. The abandoned town, with its spectral dance and whispered tales, became a haunting chapter in my journey through the vastness of the American landscape. The Midwest, silent and expansive, cradled the secrets of countless forgotten towns, each with its own stories waiting to be unearthed. As I ventured further into the night, I carried with me the weight of Hartsville's history, a burden and a privilege bestowed upon me by the shadows of an abandoned town in the heart of the Midwest. The rhythmic hum of the tires on the asphalt created a soothing background noise as Sarah and I cruised down the desolate backroads of Texas. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows that stretched across the vast landscape. We had decided to take a shortcut, a detour from the well-beaten path, seeking adventure in the heart of the Lone Star State. As the scenery transformed into a mosaic of dusty roads and scrubby mesquite trees, our GPS decided to take a break. The digital map froze, leaving us stranded in the digital void. We exchanged glances, a mixture of frustration and amusement dancing in our eyes. This unplanned hiatus led us to the realization that we were genuinely off the grid, navigating a landscape forgotten by satellites. An old-fashioned road sign pointed toward the promise of civilization, or so it seemed. "Last gas station for miles," it read. With the fuel gauge hovering near empty, we hesitated for only a moment before deciding to follow the weathered signpost. The desolation was palpable as we approached the gas station. It emerged from the landscape like a mirage, a lonely outpost amidst the vastness of Texas. The flickering neon sign barely illuminated the surroundings, casting an eerie glow on the worn-out pumps and the weather-beaten convenience store. We pulled up to the gas station, the tires crunching on the gravel as we parked beside the aging pumps. The night had descended in earnest now, shrouding the landscape in darkness. The only source of light emanated from the flickering fluorescence that adorned the gas station's overhang. As we stepped out of the car, the door creaking in protest, the silence enveloped us. It was a silence so profound that it seemed to amplify the distant hum of the cicadas. The air hung heavy with the scent of gasoline and the undeniable feeling of isolation. The lone attendant behind the counter barely looked up as we entered, his face obscured by the shadow cast by the peaked cap he wore. His eyes, however, held a distant weariness, as if he had seen the comings and goings of travelers for decades. "Evening," he mumbled, the words leaving his lips like dust in the wind. His attention shifted to the ancient cash register, fingers moving in a well-practiced rhythm. "Evening," I replied, a touch uneasy. I glanced around the store, the shelves stocked with an assortment of canned goods and snacks. It was a quaint relic of a time when this gas station might have thrived, a testament to its endurance against the relentless march of progress. Sarah busied herself with picking out a few snacks, her fingers tracing the faded labels on the dusty shelves. I studied the attendant, a question lingering on my lips. Before I could voice it, he spoke, his voice a low murmur that seemed to wrestle with the very silence around us. "Strange time to be traveling these roads," he said, his eyes finally meeting mine. There was a knowing glint in them, a subtle warning hidden within the depths. "Just passing through," I replied, the unease growing. He nodded, as if he had heard that response 1,000 times before. With a grunt, he turned back to his calculations on the cash register, leaving me with the unsettling feeling that there was more to his words than met the eye. Outside, the darkness had thickened, the gas station now a lone island in a sea of black. Sarah joined me, her arms laden with an assortment of snacks and drinks. "Strange place, huh?" she remarked, her eyes scanning the desolation beyond the glow of the station's lights. "Strange, indeed," I muttered, my gaze drawn to the shadows that seemed to dance at the edge of the light. A subtle feeling of being watched sent shivers down my spine. As we left the gas station behind, the neon sign sputtering in farewell, the unease lingered. The road stretched ahead, an endless ribbon through the Texas night. The car's headlights cut through the darkness, revealing a landscape that seemed to close in on us as we ventured deeper into the unknown. The GPS remained stubbornly unresponsive, leaving us at the mercy of the winding backroads. The air inside the car grew heavy with tension, a quiet acknowledgement between us that something about that gas station had unsettled our journey. Miles passed in silence, the landscape morphing into a monotonous stretch of road and scrub. The only companions were the hum of the engine and the distant chorus of nocturnal creatures. Sarah's gaze was fixed on the road ahead, her thoughts mirroring my own, haunted by the enigmatic gas station and the shadows that lingered in its wake. The desolation pressed upon us like a weight, the car slicing through the silence with each mile. My eyes scanned the darkness, half expecting to see the lone attendant or the spectral figures that seemed to dance at the periphery of my vision. The road unwound before us, a serpentine path through the heart of Texas. The car's headlights cast fleeting glimpses of gnarled trees and desolate fields, their outlines blurry in the encroaching darkness. We were alone in this nocturnal expanse, our only companions the secrets that whispered through the night. As we navigated the turns of the road, a realization dawned: the gas station was not a mere pit stop in our journey. It was a harbinger of the unknown, a threshold into a realm untouched by the conveniences of modernity. The unease settled in the pit of my stomach, a knot of apprehension that tightened with each passing mile. Sarah's occasional glances in my direction mirrored my own wariness, as if the shadows of that forsaken outpost still clung to us. Then, as if summoned by the enigma of that gas station, the car sputtered to a halt. The engine's hum dwindled into a feeble protest, and the headlights dimmed to a faint glow. Panic clawed at the edges of my consciousness as I wrestled with the realization that we were stranded in the heart of the Texas night. I attempted to restart the engine, my fingers fumbling with the keys in a desperate ritual. Sarah peered into the inky darkness beyond the headlights, her eyes searching for any sign of life in this desolate landscape. "There's got to be something we can do," she said, her voice betraying a hint of anxiety. I nodded, my mind racing through the possibilities. The gas station loomed large in my thoughts, a distant beacon that held the answers to our predicament. With a deep breath, I turned to Sarah. "We have to go back," I declared, the words heavy with the weight of inevitability. She stared at me, a mixture of confusion and concern in her eyes. The darkness outside pressed against the windows, and the distant hum of the nocturnal chorus seemed to mock our vulnerability. "Back to that gas station?" she asked, the unease returning. I nodded again, the gas station's spectral glow lingering in the recesses of my memory. It was the only landmark in this expansive night, a lone outpost that held the key to our stranded existence. As we retraced our route, the shadows outside seemed to deepen, the landscape transforming into an otherworldly realm. The hum of the engine provided an eerie soundtrack to our journey, each mile bringing us closer to the enigma we had left behind. The gas station emerged from the darkness like a ghostly apparition, the neon sign flickering with a muted glow. As we pulled into the gravel lot, the solitude of the night engulfed us once again. The lone attendant, his presence almost expected, glanced up from his calculations with a knowing look. "Back so soon," he muttered, the words carrying an inscrutable weight. The air inside the car felt charged with anticipation as we stepped out onto the gravel lot. The gas station, a silent witness to our return, seemed to hold the secrets of the night within its weathered walls. We approached the attendant, the silence between us pregnant with unspoken questions. His eyes, now devoid of weariness, bore into ours with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "You've entered a realm untouched by time," he said, his voice a low murmur that seemed to transcend the physical space around us. "This place is a bridge between worlds, a crossroads where the living and the forgotten converge." Sarah's grip on my hand tightened, her eyes wide with a mixture of disbelief and trepidation. The gas station, once a mundane outpost in the vast Texas expanse, now stood as a gateway to the unknown. "Your journey doesn't end here," the attendant continued, his words echoing through the quiet night. "The road ahead is tangled with the threads of fate, and you are but travelers navigating its twists and turns." The revelation hung in the air, an acknowledgement of the surreal reality that enveloped us. The shadows danced on the edges of the gas station, and the nocturnal symphony of cicadas seemed to blend with the whispers of the forgotten. As we left the gas station behind once again, the neon sign flickering in farewell, the road stretched ahead like an uncharted expanse. The car's engine hummed with a renewed vigor, and the headlights pierced the darkness with a determined glow. Our journey continued, guided by the enigmatic gas station and the secrets it harbored. The backroads of Texas unfolded before us, a tapestry of uncertainty and discovery. The night held its secrets close, and we, mere travelers in the vast expanse, ventured into the unknown with the echoes of that forsaken outpost lingering in the recesses of our consciousness. The hum of the engine became a rhythmic heartbeat, each pulse a testament to the surreal reality that now defined our journey. The desolation of the Texas night transformed into a canvas painted with the mysteries of the forgotten, and as we navigated the winding roads, we embraced the uncertainty that lay ahead. The gas station, with its spectral glow and the attendant's cryptic revelations, became a chapter in our story, a chapter written in the ink of the unknown. The road, stretching endlessly into the darkness, beckoned us forward, and we, two travelers entwined with the enigma of that forsaken outpost, ventured into the heart of the Texas night with the echoes of the gas station. The decision to escape into the remote forests of Oregon for a camping trip had seemed like the perfect antidote to our urban fatigue. A group of 5 friends, craving a break from the relentless hustle of city life, set out on this adventure seeking solace in the embrace of nature. Little did we know, the serenity of the woods would soon be shattered by an unseen force, plunging us into the depths of fear and paranoia. We arrived at the chosen spot, a secluded clearing surrounded by towering pines, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and pine needles. Excitement permeated the group as we pitched our tents, our laughter echoing through the woods. The day unfolded in a haze of hiking, storytelling, and shared laughter as we reveled in the simplicity of nature. As night fell, the forest transformed into a realm of shadows and mystery. Our campfire flickered, casting dancing silhouettes on the trees. The rustling leaves and nocturnal sounds amplified the isolation, reminding us how far we were from the comfort of city lights. The first hint that we weren't alone came in the form of strange symbols etched into the bark of nearby trees. Intricate patterns, like ancient runes, seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. At first, we dismissed them as the quirks of nature or perhaps the remnants of some eccentric explorer who had traversed these woods before us. As darkness tightened its grip, we gathered around the fire, the warmth providing a false sense of security. It wasn't long before we heard the first unsettling noise, a distant, rhythmic chanting that seemed to emanate from the heart of the forest. The unease settled among us, palpable and unspoken. The locals must be having some kind of ritual or festival, someone suggested, trying to ease the tension with a nervous laugh. We nodded in agreement, convincing ourselves that the sounds were harmless echoes of a distant community. But as the night wore on, the chanting intensified, and a disconcerting energy enveloped our campsite. Shadows danced around us, elongating and contorting into grotesque shapes. The fire, our feeble guardian against the encroaching darkness, flickered as if threatened by an unseen force. Unable to shake off the growing unease, we decided to investigate the source of the chanting. Armed with flashlights, we ventured into the forest, our beams cutting through the inky blackness. The air grew colder as we moved deeper, and an oppressive silence replaced the usual symphony of night sounds. It was then that we stumbled upon a clearing bathed in an eerie, unnatural light. In the center, a group of figures stood in a circle, their bodies swaying in rhythmic unison. The symbols from the trees adorned their clothing, glowing with an ethereal luminescence. Fear clutched at our hearts as we observed the strange ritual, unable to comprehend its purpose. The chanting reached a crescendo, the words unintelligible yet laden with an unsettling power. In that moment, the realization dawned upon us: we had stumbled upon a hidden cult, deep within the heart of the Oregon forest. The cultists, seemingly oblivious to our presence, continued their ritualistic dance. We exchanged anxious glances, silently agreeing that we should retreat before we were discovered. As we retraced our steps, the chanting faded into the distance, leaving behind an oppressive silence. Back at the campsite, the atmosphere had shifted. The once familiar woods now seemed alien and hostile. We huddled together, questioning the nature of the cult and the symbols that marked the trees. The forest, which had initially promised an escape, had transformed into a realm of uncertainty and dread. Sleep eluded us that night. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, heightened our awareness. The forest had become a sentient entity, whispering secrets we were not meant to hear. With the first light of dawn, we hastily packed our belongings, eager to escape the clutches of the mysterious cult and the haunting depths of the Oregon wilderness. As we emerged from the forest, the symbols on the trees seemed to watch us, their glow fading with the receding darkness. We vowed never to speak of that night, but the memory lingered, a chilling reminder that even in the most serene corners of nature, unseen forces could lurk, waiting to unveil their sinister intentions.